Hi YouTube family, thank you for joining me today. My name is Lisa, owner and creator of Gypsy Woman Charm, and today we will be making some Christmas decor using Sonnet's Maker's Box for November. So let's get started. Today we'll be using Sonnet's Maker's Box. It's a monthly subscription box and it has amazing items in it to help you create. In every box, first you get a card and it tells you the colors and the names of the papers that are in the box. It also has a QR code for some digital prints that are different every month that Sonnet does herself. Then we have 2 papers from Royce Cycled, and these papers are always awesome. Royce does such a great job with her papers. And then we have 2 papers by the Painted Photographer, Connie's Lines and Designs. And Connie, this is her own artwork. Each of her papers, she does her own art. And guys, you can only get these papers in the Maker's Box. These papers are not out for you to buy. And then she has, puts in a napkin. And this month, I love this napkin of the Santa face. I just love that. And then we have a Sweet Pickins milk paint that she gives every month. This month is basil. And then she always gives 2 fusion colors. This month it is ash and parchment. And then she gives 2 DIY colors. And this month it's Fancy Farm Girl and White Swan. I have to say Fancy Farm Girl is one of my favorite colors from DIY. So let's see what we can create with this awesome box. Project 1. So I got this globe at Goodwill. Looks like somebody had already done some work on it. They painted it black and took a Sharpie and to draw the world. So we're going to make it a Christmas globe. So first I took it apart, and now I'm taking the DIY White Swan and I am painting the metal piece. DIY paint is great for metal, especially this is not a shiny metal, so there was no reason to have to seal it. If it was a shiny metal, I'd probably rough it up and seal it before I painted it so the paint would stick. But DIY paint, you always have to seal it, because if you don't, then it can reactivate when it gets wet. So it's important to always seal your natural clay-based paint. So now I'm going to take the Fusion Alchemy paint in the color Time, and we're going to paint the globe with this color. And it is a all-natural chalk paint, and it will cover what's on the globe really well. So you only have to use a couple of coats of it. I'm just doing the ends of it right now because I want to reattach it to the metal piece before I paint the whole globe, because it's just going to make it easier for me to paint while it's attached. So now I'm taking Sweet Pickins top coat and I'm just sealing this DIY paint to protect everything. And this is my go-to top coat. And you need to be sure and seal every piece of your project. So you see me, I'm sealing the tips of the rod that holds the globe, and then the little metal pieces, cap pieces, sealing those too. Because again, if you get the DIY paint wet before it is sealed, it will reactivate the paint. So I get the globe painted. It's 2 coats of paint it took. And after it dries, I take the Royce Cycled paper, Santa's Greetings, which I just love. And I'm going to fussy cut this design. So just what fussy cut is, you just take and you cut away in detail the excess paper around the design that you're wanting to use for the decoupage. It can be tedious. I used an X-Acto knife instead of scissors because it just worked better for me. But if you have small sewing scissors or any kind of scissors like that that are really small and detailed, they work great too. And one good thing about putting decoupaging a design onto an a round or type of piece is that when you fussy cut it, it will mold better to the curve, because if you leave the excess paper on, it will crinkle because it won't have a flat surface to go on. So I just find that it's better to do a fussy cut when you're doing it on a round surface. So here's my piece after it's all detailed and cut out. Now I'm using the white swan and the DIY paint, and I am painting the back of the paper. I want to do this because I want it to stand out against that time color and the alchemy time color, because it will make it pop. If I put it directly onto the time color, then it will kind of mute it a little bit and it won't stand out as much. So you want that white background on the back of it. And since I'm doing a fussy cut piece, you want to paint directly onto the paper itself. So after it's completely painted, you want to set it aside because it needs to dry completely, because you're going to be putting decoupage medium on the back of it, and if it's not dried completely, you're going to have a big mess. You're going to have white paint everywhere. And don't ask me how I know, but I just know. Now for this project, I am using the medium liquid patina from DIY. It's a great product. I use different mediums for different project, but this type of project I find liquid patina works the best. So you just want to coat it really well, and then you're going to take and you're going to place it onto your project and see how great that lays down. If it was not fussy cut and it was just laid down with that whole flat piece of paper, it would not have curved as well and laid down as flat as it is. So that's why I really like the fussy cut, not to mention just the look of it. And after you're satisfied with the way that it's applied, then just go back over it with another coat of the liquid patina over the top, and that will seal it. Now during the fussy cut stage, he lost part of his antler, so I just kept it and I am applying it onto the globe and then gluing it on with the liquid patina, and it works great. Now he's got all of his horns on him. So now Santa needs some houses to deliver to. So here I am. I've taken some transfers from IOD Designs, and this is one from the Christmas release for this year. and it has all these great houses in it. So I am deciding which houses I want to use, and I want to keep with those kitschy colors. So I'm picking the lighter light colors, the pinks and the pastels, and I'm just cutting them out, and we're going to place little houses all around the world for Santa to visit. And now if you've never used a transfer from IOD, then all you do is after you cut out the piece that you want, you apply it to the project, and then all the transfers come with a plastic application stick, and you just rub it on really good. Just be sure that your paint is completely dry before you do this. I usually let it dry for several hours. And there we go. Now we have one house. Let's apply some more. So we're just going to go around the world and apply our houses. And how cute are these houses? They're just adorable. I loved this booklet from IOD. So now that we have our houses on, we need some trees, because there's Christmas trees all around the world during Christmas, and Santa just wants to throw some presents under some trees. So we have some great trees in this transfer booklet, and I am just cutting them out, and I'm cutting them individually, and then we're going to place our Christmas trees all around the world. And now after you put your transfer on, you'll notice that as I lift up the carrier sheet, that I take and I rub the transfer on the item, and that is called burnishing. And you do that to make sure that there's a really good connection between your item and your transfer, and then you'll go back over it with a top coat. So I am almost done putting all the transfers on. I think it's turning out great. And after I get all of them on, then comes the exciting part. We're bringing in glitter, because there's snow everywhere. Well, not everywhere, not Florida, but most places there's snow, and Santa loves to deliver in the snow, so we're going to give him some sparkle. So I take the rock candy from Tim Holtz in the fine glitter, and then I'm just taking the liquid patina, and then I'm sprinkling the rock candy glitter over the top. Now, I didn't worry about it being a even coat, because I want it's a globe, so I want it to look like it has highs and lows, and the best way to do that is with the glitter. And after the liquid patina dries, we will have a glittery Christmas globe. Project 2. So I got this again at Goodwill, and it is a cute little sleigh, but we're gonna upgrade it a little bit. We're gonna update it, give it our own little touch. So I just took out that red ribbon, and now I'm taking the Painted Photographer's paper Mary St. Nick, and we're going to be using the head of Santa Claus. So now I'm taking the Fancy Farm Girl from DIY, and I am just giving it a really good coat. It takes 2 coats, but it covers up that wording, that verbiage on the other side of the sleigh. It covers it up where just beautifully. You don't even know it's there. So now that the paint is dry, I'm just going to rough it up a little bit. I'm going to distress it just anywhere where there's a corner or a line. I'm just taking my 220 finger sander and just roughing it up because we want it to give it that distressed look. And now remember to always wipe your piece down after you've done sanding on it to get rid of any of the sawdust so that whatever you're putting on it will stick. Now I'm taking and I'm using the water method. I just use some water on a paintbrush, and we're going to go around the design that we want, and that way it gives it an organic edge. Now I'm just cutting out the whole Santa right now, but then once I put it on there, I realized that it's too big. So then I cut it down even more so that we have a nice Santa face. It's his advertisement, like his little face is on a city bus, but it's on his little sleigh. Now for this project, I'm using the Fusion Decoupage and Transfer Gel to attach Santa's face to the sleigh. And just because I feel like that this works better with this particular paper. It's just my preference. So here you go, and once you have it on and flat, then you just take and you put a good coat on top. And I did not paint the back of this one white like I did the globe piece because I want it to be more muted. So now I let everything dry, and I am cutting out a piece of burlap ribbon to fit in to where that red ribbon fed through, because I want the look of the burlap, and I just think it's just, my style. I like the more primitive look, and I thought that the burlap gave it a more homey look. So now before we do anything else, we're going to seal the piece. And so I'm taking again the Sweet Pickins top coat, and I am sealing the entire piece. Again, the DIY paint will reactivate when it gets wet, so it's very, very important that you seal it, because it does not have a sealer in the paint. That's what makes it so great about it being an all-natural paint. So now I've let it completely dry. I think the inside, you can tell, is still a little damp, but we are going to take the burlap piece that I cut out, and we're just going to feed it through. And we want it to end in the front, because then I'm going to make a little bow in the front with the burlap. So now we have it all the way through, and I'm just going to tie a little bow, just keep it really simple. And then I saw that it needed to be attached better, so I end up taking my hot glue gun and just putting a little bit of glue there and holding it so it's there permanently. So now I'm going to take the Dixie Belle Grungy Wax, and we are just going to, it's in the gray, and we're just going to put a little bit of color in those distressed areas, because when I distressed it, it pulled it back to the white, and I don't want the white. I want it to look a little dirty. So I'm just taking a stencil brush, and I'm just hitting those areas that I distress, plus I'm hitting that burlap ribbon a little bit, just to make the ribbon look a little bit older and not so new and stand out. Then I take a cotton cloth and I go back over it and just wipe it a little bit, just to wipe a little bit of it off and kind of buff it. Project 3. So for our final project, I found this metal canister at Goodwill, and it was really grungy. I ran it through the dishwasher, so it's all nice and clean. I'm taking the knob off the top lid. I'm not sure if I'm going to reuse this knob. I haven't quite decided yet until I get into this project what exactly I'm going to do to the top of that lid. Now I'm taking the Fusion mineral paint and parchment that came in the maker's box, and I'm giving it a good base coat. I end up putting 2 coats of parchment on it, and it wasn't full coverage. I'm just trying to give it a base coat. And so if it has, it's not a slick surface. If it was a slick surface, I would prime it better, but it wasn't. It was just a rough surface, so I didn't have to worry about doing anything but just cleaning it really well. So for this next part, I lost some footage, so I apologize for not having it to show you, but I took the napkin and I did the water cut to make it a natural edge, and then I just decoupaged it with liquid patina onto the canister. Now I'm taking the Sweet Pickins Basil Milk Paint, and I already mixed it up really good and let it sit, and then I decided to put some salt wash in it, because I want it a more textured surface, because I want to go back with and do a dry brush method with some gold. So I wanted just a little bit of texture, and plus the canister already had texture on it, so I just added a little bit of my own texture to it. But I'm doing mostly tapping it on, because I want it to, again, it gives it more texture when you do that, when you tap it on rather than brush it on. So I finally decided that I was going to reuse that knob, but I'm not going to use that back plate. I'm just going to use the knob, and I'm painting it with the basil milk paint. And again, I'm just doing the dabbing technique to it. So now I want to decorate the lid on top of the glass lid. So I'm taking the IOD transfer. It's the same transfer packet that I've been using in this video. And I'm going to put a wreath right around where that knob is going to go. So I just put it right where it's going to be going around the knob, and then I just start applying it just like you apply to anything else. You just want to make sure that that glass is clean before you start applying that transfer. So here I am reapplying the knob, and again, I'm not going to use that back plate on it. I'm just going to use the knob itself. So now I'm taking the Fusion mineral paint in the metallic gold, and I am painting the rim of the lid, and then I also am going to take a brush and use a really dry brush, and I'm just going to dry brush the high parts of the texture. I also end up doing the knob, and it just gives it a little glow. I just love the way it turned out and looked. So then I end up using the parchment and painting the bottom of the canister just to give it a finished look. And then I am taking the Sweet Pickings top coat, and I am sealing everything. I'm sealing the IOD transfer on the glass lid. I'm sealing in the metallic. I'm sealing in the milk paint, which milk paint has to be sealed just like the DIY paint. And just to give it a good seal for durability. Thank you so much for joining me today and watching this video. If you like this content, please subscribe and like, and I hope y'all have a blessed day.